Hello, this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel. I hope you're having a good day. I want to talk to you about Trump and how we're going to face shit it's the fan because of him. It's something that's needed to happen for a long time. Unfortunately, the further we've gone down the road of corruption, lying, and just overall criminal behavior by the government, by the financial institutions, by the greater international banking cartel, the further we've gotten down the road, the more dramatic the rebound will be when we step back from what has been done, when we try and take corrective action. I want to talk very quickly about the game of chess. Right? There are standard openings and then there are risky openings. Some examples of a standard opening would be the Queen's Gambit, very popular, and the English opening, also very popular. An example of a risky opening would be the King's Indian Defense. Now, the reason that analogy is important in this discussion is that when you start with an opening, you're held to it, to playing that opening for quite a while. When we refer back to our President-elect Trump, right? President Trump. His opening was "Make America Great Again," followed with the follow-up plays of "Drain the Swamp." Now, if he quits playing that opening and reverts to status quo, right? Playing the same game all politicians have played, which is keep doing the same thing, keep leading the American people on, keep getting us further into debt, taking advantage of the trust that's been placed in that high office. If he does that, he is not going to be reelected, for one. And the powers that be, or the establishment, the political, financial power brokers, the military-industrial complex, if Trump doesn't hold true to his promises, those people would love to see him impeached. Not because they want him to do that, but because they'll see the opening to get rid of him. There have already been calls for him to be impeached as soon as he's inaugurated, if he makes it that far. What does that tell us? What that tells us is that his opening is very damaging to the powers that be. They do not like it. They don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be removed from power. And by exposed, I mean, is this Pizzagate thing real? If so, who's involved? Expose them. Remove them. Right? But maybe that's a little bit too dangerous, right, for them to consider. So they have to keep Trump, they have to go after Trump. They can't risk being exposed. The power in Washington. The financial game that's been rigged, the insider trading, the market manipulation, the fraud that is involved in quantitative easing, which is the transfer of your wealth as Americans, my wealth, our futures, our children's futures. There is immense amounts of fraud in there, and it needs to be exposed. So that's the opening that Trump has played. And if he backs away from that, then he's going to be taken out. He's going to be taken out through impeachment. Because the people will no longer be behind him, because he promised to drain the swamp. He promised to make America great again. And as you know, Republicans seem to forgive and forget a little easier when it comes to screw-ups. But Democrats, they remember forever, and they'll take any opportunity to capitalize on the smallest of lies, the smallest of mistakes, and the press will dutifully be right there with them. Right? So Trump has played an opening, and he cannot back away from it, because Republicans will walk away from him and Democrats will attack. So that leaves Trump to honestly fulfill and play his move, right? To play out the game he set before him, which is make America great again. Make America a strong national state. Get out of trade deals like NAFTA and avoid things like the Trans-Pacific Partnership. In fact, anything today with the word trans in it drives me nuts. Okay, so, it's good not to lose our humor. he's going to get out of deals, trade deals, remove us from anything that takes prosperity away from the American people and our nation, right? He is anti-globalist by his speech. So he has to play that and continue and play it out. Now, what does that do for us as Americans? Well, when you say we need an honest fiscal policy and an honest monetary policy, what he's saying is no more cheating, lying. The books have to be laid open. We have to see what's going on, where the money goes. Right? Who's paying for this all? What's the real national debt? And once we've exposed that, corrective actions have to be taken. This is where the rubber meets the road. That sounds magnanimous. That sounds high-minded. It sounds like the moral and right thing to do. And it is. But this is the equivalent on a personal basis of coming home and telling your wife, get me all the credit card receipts. Get me all of our debt and line it out on this desk. I need to see what's really going on. And this happens quite often. The woman who's been left in charge of money, and it doesn't matter, it can be the man, right? And the woman comes in. This isn't about the sexes. Sees all the bills and says, oh my God, I can't believe we're in this much trouble financially. What is going on here? And the explanation is, well, I used this card to pay that card, and we ran out on those cards, so I got some more cards. I took out a home equity line of credit, right? I refinanced the house over another 40 years, right? And I brought the interest rate down. Isn't that great? But you're in more debt than when you started. That is where our nation is. And when Trump exposes that, when he lays it all out on the table for Congress, for the American people to see, there's one, going to be outrage, two, a demand of accountability, and three, the requirement to fix the problem. And that is where I say shit will hit the fan. And it's not just that. It's not just the nation's debt issue. It is military spending. Does Trump want to expose black operations in the CIA? Well, he's certainly wanting to do something with the CIA and restructure it. Last time someone talked about that, he ended up with a bullet through the head, and that was John F. Kennedy, president. November 22nd, 1963, the man was assassinated publicly for the world to see. And he did a lot more than just mess with the CIA. He messed with the banking cartel. He messed with everybody. He was trying to fix problems way back in 1963. Fast forward to 2017, here comes Trump. He wants to change the status quo of manipulation, lie, corruption, and unconstitutional behavior by every branch of the government. He risks his very life, Trump does. If they kill him, one, he'll be martyred. Two, we'll know they did it. People do not believe in the patsy theory anymore, that it's a lone gunman or a nut. Conspiracies and assassinations are made to happen. They're allowed to happen. So Trump has to clear the swamp, drain the swamp. He has to make America great again. He has to give us an accountability for the military, for the banking system, for the financial system. He needs to look at the budget process in the United States of America and figure out what is going on and where the waste is. He's got to expose all this. We've got to hold people accountable. That means firing them. That means prosecuting them in court. When he said drain the swamp, he didn't say, take some nets and get some of the animals out of there that we don't like. He said drain the swamp. That means everything is exposed. Everything. And when you see the financial system for what it is, and they expose it, and then we hold people accountable and then fix it, that means the American people are going to have to pay all of those bills off that are laid out. Those bills have to be paid. That is a huge burden on the American people. an economic collapse, a financial disaster that has been, exposed. Now, there's this claim or this comment, this way to describe it, of kicking the can down the road rather than looking in the can, I guess, and dealing with it. But what they've been doing is throwing money in the air and kicking the can down the road. Trump is proposing we stop that. We figure out what is going on and we pay for it. That means you and me. That is just that. There's the military problems at the Pentagon. There are problems internationally. The banking cartel, if it's exposed. Wall Street and the retirement systems. There are funded and unfunded retirements for every man and woman in this country. And it is rife with fraud, bullshit. For example, after Trump was elected, CalPERS came out, and that's California Public Employee Retirement System. They came out and said, we're going to have to reduce benefits. That is, they've been paying more money out than they're taking in and more than Wall Street's provided. They want it to seem and feel to all the CalPERS members like they have the greatest system in the world. And they have, but they've been borrowing, like the national government or federal government, borrowing from the future to pay today. And they saw Trump elected. They know what's going to happen. There's going to be a massive exposure. There has to be. And they are cutting or promising to cut back. Or they're implying they may have to cut back. Right? They could claim, we did our books and we uncooked them and fixed everything. But that's going to make all the public employees in California, they're pissed. Where is the golden goose they were promised for being bureaucrats? It is going to take that away from them. And it's not just going to be California. It's going to be Texas. It's going to be New York. It's going to be Florida. It's going to be Illinois. It's going to be every state, every county, every municipality. They're all going to have to expose themselves to some level. That is a great cleansing. And that means there are going to be heads rolling. People are going to be accusing one another. There are going to be people denying everything. This is going to take not only years to expose, years to fix, but it's going to take decades to pay. Unless the government organizations and the private organizations can somehow absolve themselves of all this debt. Now, one of the ways that may come true is if Trump audits the Federal Reserve, finds out what has been going on, and demands this nation's gold be returned from the thieves who stole it, and puts this country back on a gold standard, right? Forgives the debt through sovereign power, and we start again. Now that sounds, once again, like a great plan on the outset, but it is rife with consequences. Those consequences are the organizations that hold our debt, that hold our assets or claim our assets as a nation. They are not going to want to give that power up. And they have in the past and will continue to promise martial law, societal collapse, financial collapse, government collapse. Just when they didn't get the budgets put through, Obama shut down national parks, closed highways, cut back government services in an effort to scare the people, to let them know just how critical he is. It actually took them more labor, more manpower to shut all these things down than it did to keep them open. Because people really don't need the government to go look at a park. We don't need them. We don't need them for a lot of things, but they've made themselves that important. But that is the type of activity they'll use. The threats. Now, if it came to a complete and total cleansing, you can bet your bottom dollar that financial institutions, up to and including, or especially the Federal Reserve, will threaten the collapse of our entire monetary system. Meaning, United States, the currency we use here, which is the Federal Reserve note, the dollar, will be worthless. Right? If it's exposed what is wrong with our money system on a grand scale by the president, and that may need to be done. I think it should be done. That will cause shit to hit the fan. On any number of levels, any attempt to drain the swamp is going to cause calamitous, chaotic behavior by not only government officials, but the people also. There will be mayhem for this. Because corporations that have been lying and cheating and stealing are going to have to fail. When the corruption that is people like Hillary Clinton and Benghazi, or how about Eric Holder and Fast and Furious? The man hasn't spent a day in jail. He's never even been prosecuted. No threat of prosecution for illegally giving arms to drug dealers in this country so that they'll in turn be used against the people of the United States and against our law enforcement on the border, so that the government could claim we need to confiscate guns, remove guns. This is the Attorney General of the United States committing horrible treasonous acts. At the very least, unconstitutional. At the very least, illegal. Criminal. That is the shit that needs to be exposed. People need to be held accountable for it. And we need to start again and restore trust in the government. The government needs to give back to the people what is theirs, and that is their sovereign rights as the people. We cannot trust a government that doesn't put the people first, and that is what Trump is intimating he's going to do. He is hinting at it. Make America great again? That can only come through the restoration of rights and liberty. We cannot be great as a nation if we are deceived. We cannot be great as a nation if we are enslaved financially. Do you see how releasing and returning this country back to its greatness can only do one thing, and that is cause shit to hit the fan? Maybe not totally, maybe not everywhere, all at once and forever, but it is going to be largely uncomfortable in many ways for many people for a long, long time. So what can you do about it? You're Joe American, right? You're Betty American. What are you going to do about it? If you know what's coming, if you know times are going to be tight, you're going to have to pull your belt in. Times are going to be difficult. There are going to be times of chaos. There are going to be times where law enforcement is not going to be available. There's going to be times when people are going to riot and loot. There are going to be times when civilization itself will seem to be gone, and then the next week restored, and then the week after gone again. How will you get through that? There has never been a more popularized or publicly well-known reason for you to be a prepper than right now. I come to you with this message because I give a shit. Okay? I've been doing these videos for years. I've been preparing for a long, long, long time. And right now Trump is promising to drain the swamp and make America great again. And once he starts draining that swamp and exposing it, we as a nation are exposed to the risks and threats of the powerful fighting against it. And a fight at the top in any effort creates more chaos at the bottom. And we as just individuals at the bottom, we're going to see the most chaos and the most trouble for these efforts. Because as the popular idiom is, or axiom, or what would that be? Colloquialism is shit rolls downhill. And if they're fighting at the top over draining the swamp and accountability and exposure and a return to justice, a return to true equality, a return to the rightful state of government as the servant and the people as the master, then you can expect a lot of fighting up there at the top. And shit will roll downhill, and we at the bottom, right? We'll be thinking of in terms of the apocalypse, or shit hitting the fan, or the end of the world as we know it. But the world as we know it is already crumbling. So what will reemerge? Naturally, we're going to hope for freedom, for liberty, for prosperity. We're going to hope that America is great again. So how do you do this? How do you prepare as an individual? That's what this channel and many others like it have been about. Food, water, clothing, shelter, and a means of self-defense. Those are my 5 keys for surviving, for getting through, for managing to live and not lose all of your lives, right? Because that is the risk here of making America great again. It is going to be a different type of revolution if Trump is successful in doing what he says to do, because he's not saying this, he's not putting it out. Are you willing to risk your lives, your very lives, to make America great again? He won't say that. He won't say, are you willing to risk losing your house, your car, your job, the prosperity you enjoy as a well-cared for slave? Are you willing to risk that in order to drain the swamp? He doesn't say that. He doesn't say, are you willing to risk 2 decades of financial and governmental chaos in order to drain the swamp? He doesn't say that. What he does say is, I'm going to drain the swamp and make America great again. And everyone cheers, yay! But we as preppers, we as thinkers, we understand that there are consequences to taking these sorts of actions. And the prepared mind looks ahead. The prepared mind plans ahead. The prepared mind tries to understand and use predictive analysis, predictive models, using both historical accounts and modern precedent to see what's going to happen and then plan for it. It is not incredibly difficult, but it does take time and effort. And once again, there are channels like this one and other channels on YouTube and other forms of social media that will help you get through this, help you understand it, and most of all, help you plan for it. It requires some effort on your part, financially or monetarily, and it also involves an investment of your mental effort. That means you're going to have to put down the television for a couple hours every now and then and actually think. And I'm not insulting anybody. I'm just saying that's what it takes. And I have exchanged one form of entertainment, that is the television, for another form of entertainment. And yeah, it's entertaining as hell watching what is going on in the world. It is not happy entertainment the way Dancing with the Stars is, or watching Scooby-Doo. It's not that type of entertainment. But it does entertain or keep the mind active. And there is a great deal of satisfaction that comes with it when you not only start seeing the truth and understanding the machinations of the government economic system and the political and military systems and how they interact and how they work together. This is what we're facing. This is what we're looking at. Trump will cause shit to hit the fan, or Trump will be impeached and removed from office. It can't go both ways. I guess he could walk the tightrope of doing nothing, just hyperbole after hyperbole, talking about how great America will be and actually doing nothing, and avoiding the wrath of the American people and the wrath of the Democrats who would want to impeach him. But then he's going to be a one-term president, and he'll be remembered for doing nothing. Much the same way that Obama would have been remembered for doing nothing, except he did a great deal of damage to this nation. He added $10 trillion in new debt. He increased this level of socialism with his Obamacare. The level of social fascism, that is. Again, thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for watching all of my videos. Be sure and click on my home page, the little Viking icon down below. You do that, you'll go to my home page and you'll see all the videos that I've done across a great spectrum of topics. They've all been fun to do. They've all been fun to think about. And the comments, both on this video and all videos, are fabulous, coming from you guys. Because it's you that make this channel great. I'm just the moderator. I'm just the guy who sits in the chair and gets filmed. But you guys are the ones who make this channel great. Because of your subscribing, because you comment, because you hit the share button down below and send these videos out to your friends, family, loved ones. And please give this video a thumbs up so that the topic of the need for preparing, the need for understanding the world, right, through preparedness or shit it's the fan style videos gets more recognition, because that is truly what we face in this Trump presidency. The reward is a return to greatness for America. The reward for us is that the swamp will be drained. The price to pay is exposing, holding people accountable, and then paying the bill. And that bill, everyone agrees, needs to be paid. It's just who's going to start it. Who's going to start the process. Well, that would be Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. And soon to be, hopefully, President of the United States of America. Once again, serving the people. Ah, boy. So this is John, host of the Prepared Mind channel, saying, Semper Fi. Godspeed to us all. And chance favors the prepared mind. Have a good day.